Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Dube, you're still under your oath. Now we proceed. Counsel.
Thank you, Justice. Ms. Ncube, just before we adjourned, you had just given evidence to the fact that some of the caregivers were leaving you. You'd hire people and then they would stay overnight and then they would leave.
Yes.
Okay, so you also had challenges with human resources, is that so?
Yes.
Did that not compromise the healthcare users that you had?
Not necessarily, because remember, on our side as a stimulation center, we had those carers who know how to run with the program, and with the conditions, with the criteria that we have, it's something one can take care of while they were at home. And
how far apart was the daycare center from the Precious Angels NGO?
It's 15 minutes max drive.
Were they not overstretched?
Sorry?
Were they not overstretched running the two organizations concurrently?
No. Maybe I didn't explain thorough. The carers that used to work at the daycare center, those who had like 4 years at the daycare, they were moved to work at the home. So I opened positions for those that have left for the home because they know how the program runs. And the ones that I called in from live Esidimeni are those that would come, and when you tell them about money, they would leave. And then when I went to the UIF at our location, we'd also get professional people, but when you tell them about not being paid, they would work for a day and leave.
Yes. Okay. There is evidence before this arbitration that SASSA grants would also be used to finance the needs of the patients. Did you have access to SASSA grants in respect of the 21 patients?
Not even one from the day we received them, because others, their IDs haven't been sent to us. And again, the department have mentioned that it will be processed and will be able to use to
You did
feed.
not receive them at all?
Not even one, till from the beginning until the end.
So other than the donations and the help that you are receiving from your family and from the society, you didn't have any other form of finance?
No, it's just loan after loan.
Yes. Now, in respect of the families of the mental care users that you had, the 21, did you have contact with them?
The others, they eventually, because they called different NGOs and ended up on to us. Then we would have induction with a visitation, give them a background of who we are, how we ended up with their loved ones, and we also gave them the opportunity to come at any given time with no appointment to come and visit their loved ones, and they would also have access to their loved ones' files. As I was saying earlier on, that with any celebrations we had, they were there as well, and a couple of visits have been made, and a lot of functions have been.
Of all the patients?
Not all of them. Others, with the stress that we had of not having proper information of the patients, I went to our police station to do an affidavit for assistance in getting records, and so that we can get in touch with the family members as well. And with the other, later on, that's when we received a list of few contacts from Life Esidimeni's social worker. That's when I also had to make alternatives to finding contacts because the department was taking long to assist us.
When did you receive this list in relation to the 23rd of June,
I
2016?
will check on the emails, we'll print out as evidence and send it to you.
Now,
Well, you say you told the families how you came to look after their loved ones. Why did you do it? Why did you apply for this residential care center? Did you apply for it?
Judge, we were called in an annual meeting we've been having from 2015 that there will be a marathon that will be given to the existing NGOs with existing criteria, as we also in our business plan as a daycare had a plan to run a home, but only for children.
Okay, let's take it piece by piece. Fewer words. You went to a meeting where you were told about a marathon project.
Yes, sir.
Who made that presentation to you?
It's the department's officials. I think the email will also search in and give it appropriately.
I believe you. You don't have to prove with emails.
Okay.
Who at the department made the presentations about the opportunity to participate in the marathon project?
On the Gauteng region, the head is Mr. Hannah Yakovas, and she reports to Dr. Manamela, and with Mr. Tobani, most of...
So the answer is Hannah? Is
Hannah
Ms. Hannah
Yakovas, yes.
Yakovas, Ms. Dr. Manamela, and Mr. Tobani.
Yes, and other officials that they
What
work
did they
with.
say to you? What opportunity existed?
It's, it was, we were like 20-something NGOs, the ones that were, the existing ones. And what they say, they are in a crisis of the marathon, and they would extend with, according to our business plans, and we would home
They
their
were in a
patients.
crisis. Did they say how would you help them in the crisis? Let's take it piece by piece so that we all understand.
No
Okay.
problem. We had to house the patients. They would give in relevant support for the, because of the contract was terminated, and it has to be speeded up because we know from the previous NGOs we would run with the new one, even if it's in a rush.
Did they tell you why the contract, why it was urgent, or why the contract with Life Esidimeni was terminated?
They mentioned, they didn't go deeper into detail, but the contract being terminated and patients needed to be allocated to NGOs that deals with the criterias, different criterias.
And did you tell them, I'm looking at ELAH 26,
Yes, sir.
your license, did you tell them that you were fit to deal with severe or profound intellectual disability?
Yes, that's why I would also take the initiation to go and ensure that the patients that they give to us is according to our criteria on the
But you
first
told them
batch.
about your core skills and what you can do, is that right?
Yes, because we have the service of rendering.
At the time, did you have any premises already when the license was issued?
The license was issued before the patient were allocated.
Yes. And the license says that you were to look after people with severe, profound intellectual disability, and you were allowed up to 150 people. Did you ask for up to 150 patients?
No, Judge, it's not. It was just a license that would be, I think they divided the whole number to the number of NGOs that were present for the marathon.
So
And-
you didn't ask for 150 patients to look after?
No, so I remember there was even a time we were asked to take more, then would refuse, saying that most of the services they said they would be rendered, they haven't been supporting us on it, and we have to do all the runarounds without their assistance.
Did they tell you how much you would be paid per patient that you were to look after?
I think it was stipulated, because they also mentioned with the, it's going to be, when you run a home, you get the SASA, full foster care amount, then with the patients, I'm not
About the marathon
amount.
project in particular, you were at this briefing.
Yes.
Did they tell you how much you would be paid per day, per patient?
Per day, I think they have been stipulations of the amounts. I would be precise because everything is in the emails, even on meeting.
Can you remember that amount per patient per day?
Not quite.
But you can find it in your emails.
Yes, because when we give out reports, there's a budget plan that you stipulate with all the receipts that you are receiving and how you have utilized according to the spreadsheet.
Did they
per
tell
patient.
you at the beginning that you'll have to wait for 3 to 4 months before you were paid?
No, we were not told.
Finally, for me at any rate, why did you do it? Why did you assume this task?
All right. I'm going to try to be brief. Why we accepted as well, we are building a legacy from children to teenagers, adults to elderly. It's a stage where we will be also facing, but at that moment, there wasn't sufficient support while they
You wanted
have-
to expand your operations as an NGO, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Move from children to adults.
Of which it's in our business plan for the daycare, yes, sir.
And that was the reason why you assumed this obligation.
It was only for children, basically. It changed when they've mentioned that the children's contract is going to be on another year on it.
Council.
Thank you, Justice. Just as a follow-up on that line of questioning, what kind of experience did you possess to take care of the severe profound intellectual disability?
Okay, we work with OT's basic stimulation program, which we obtain from a private company we source out. We also work with physiotherapists that we give reports on daily basis, and there is audiology that they come through for group programs and patient assessments. And as an ECD practitioner as well, because with disability there wasn't at the moment inclusive trainings.
And
we
you
also
as
to
a
give
person, what kind of experience did you have?
I'm an accounting person which had to divert to disability because of a experience that I have to learn and how to, in terms of how to live and how to
Did you
to
undergo
maintain.
any sort of training?
Trainings we have, there's certificates, there is in-service trainings, there is monthly therapy sessions that we also attend for different disabilities. And any challenges that we face in organization, we raise out to the our local clinic that we are in contact with
Just
for
the
our
last question
criteria.
now on the issue of contact with families. The families that you managed to get in contact with, did you bring it to their attention the challenges that you were experiencing at Precious Angels?
Every family member that most got hold of us, they came in angry, they came in frustrated, which we understand. We were the one that had to firstly calm down the family, then give a background of who you are, then explain the current situation and the way forward.
Do you know
No
why they
support
were
from the
angry?
department as well.
Do you know why they were angry?
Mostly it was through no contact with the department of where they're taking their patients, their loved ones, and the others, it was through a deceased.
I see.
State.
Earlier on, you said that the families of the patients would contact you. I just want to find out if you took an initiative to contact them, or the only contact that you had with them was when they had taken the initiative to contact the NGO.
As I said earlier on, we work with the department. They have our list. They had the list of the patients that we had, other files that were still coming to us, and we would make follow-up with our coordinators. We were given coordinators. We would make follow-ups on how far of the information they have gathered for us to get in contact with the families. And what I also did from my side, I went into our local police station to make an affidavit if they can assist us, just to trace in those different the ID numbers that we may have at the moment.
So those that you had contact, did you take an initiative to contact the family members?
The others, it was a mixture, because other numbers, when we called in, they would not go through. And then others, they would find our contact numbers from previous contacts of different NGOs.
Okay. Now, in respect of the 21 patients that you spoke about, was that the only number of patients that you received from Life Esidimeni?
No, the second set of patients that came in, it was when the department called in and have asked to utilize the other space that was still in the house.
When was this?
Yeah. I'll check in the photos, because we had evidence and reports of when everything happened.
Did you receive more patients?
Yes.
When was that?
I think it's same month, probably after 2 weeks, from the 23rd or so.
How many patients did you receive 2 weeks after the 23rd? 23rd of June 2016, Justice?
I think it was 15, because I remember when we went in, we were supposed to check still with the doctor if the criteria that they're giving us, it's the same one. When we went there, the patients were already loaded in the bus. We were rushed to take them without even checking if every patient is according to our criteria.
And which center was this?
Esidimeni.
Which one?
I think Randfontein. Because I remember we even had a clash with the manager there. The EMS manager was also crying out in terms of us communicating first, because I was refusing to take the set of the grouping that they have allocated without us going through it and ensuring it's according to our criteria.
So the 15 patients, did you take them to Precious Angels?
Yes, they were at the
Were
house.
they males or females?
Still males. Males.
Were they adults or children?
Adult males.
And where did you house them?
At Danville, the very same house we were talking about earlier on.
Did you have space for 15 more patients?
It catered for 37. Yes, it's those that they've also made us to arrange for.
So
extra beds.
what is the address of this place? So in total, how many patients did you have in June?
37 in June.
Now, earlier on, you indicated that you had challenges with staff, with resources in respect of the 21. Now, adding 15 more, did that not add more on the financial burden that you're already experiencing?
That's where the department started to come in and sending out groceries
When was
to
this?
assist.
When was the first time that you received groceries from the department?
Yeah. Late, probably July or so.
Are you certain that it was July? Which year was this?
2016, so
Are you certain it was July?
I'm not sure about the month, but with emails and recordings will give you a definite date and the month.
And the groceries that was given to you in July 2016, was it sufficient to last you for how long?
It was, they made provision that would last for a month because they mentioned that on the next run out that we will be able to be paid to render the necessary services.
And the challenges that you had with the carers, how did you resolve that in respect of the 15 more patients?
With every meeting we had with the department, I showed evidence in terms of communication, and with all the savings that I had from the trainings that we were doing, would allocate a certain amount that will be suitable for them, even though it wasn't enough. And I would also, for transportation, would ask our...
Maybe let me ask it this way. Did you have carers?
Yes.
Were they sufficient for the 37 patients?
Yes, we even asked for more, because when you receive more patients, the capacity, your ratio increased, so you need to increase staff. And CVs were dealt, were sent through interviews, contracts.
The challenges that you experienced with the 21 of the carers who were not staying long, who would spend a few hours or a night and leave, did you not experience it when you had now 37 patients at Precious Angels?
You would find others would stay with you, because remember with the first ones, they knew it was just a month. And then it occurred that it's month 2. On the ones that we got from the UIF department, they were still new, but they will be able to bear with us until payout was sent out, because we'd even show them the
Were the
evidence.
patient receiving the nursing care and the medical attention that they required?
Yes, they were, because there's records. As I was saying, even family members that used to come in, we would even show them how the progress of their loved ones is, and the type of medication they are getting, and any question that they had, we would give in.
Other than the 37 patients, did you receive more patients from Life Esidimeni?
On June, July, we got a call from the officials again stating that the Kalinin Enka House, they have females with the same criteria of the one that we are servicing, and they've asked if we can assist just for a period of time, then they will be able to take them.
Did you accept that request?
We refused. They kept on insisting, and then we were asked to... I think the other thing that made me feel so bad as well, I think they were, in a way, I felt that they might be taking advantage of knowing that how passionate a person is in terms of such criteria that we deal with. Then they asked for a housing.
Did you eventually agree?
With the housings, that's when they had to come in and say, Ethel, please, we need to get in. It's only for
Did you agree?
Yes, sorry.
And how many more people then came to your facility?
When it was 9 at first,
From Enka,
from Enka House.
Enka House.
Yes, in Kalinin.
I just want to cut to the chase a little. When was the NGO shut down?
Yeah.
Precious Angel in particular.
Um,
The question is when?
2016,
When?
around. We didn't even receive a letter. We were told only now in January.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
All right.
When did it stop its operations?
January 2017.
How did that happen? By what reason did it happen?
Okay.
January 17, 2017.
Yes, sir.
Yes. How were your operations shut down?
Being moved from houses to a hospital because even the staffing from the hospital couldn't cater our
Now, what
severe.
happened? Who came and said, you must now stop this operation or you must now move your patients to the hospital?
It was office from the premier where they came in. They did a investigation. And then from there, the department have mentioned they will take in the severe ones to hospitals.
By then, how many of your patients had died?
I think it was probably 10.
And how many were remaining when the facility was shut down?
In total, we had 58, 59 patients.
After the 10 passing on, how many remained?
Basically, the total just
48?
yes,
48 remained.
yes.
Of what did they die?
Mostly, it was natural causes with the EMS declarations and
Sorry, what declaration?
natural
Yes.
death.
But you said something declaration. You said yes. You said they
EMS,
died.
yeah. With the EMS, they are the ones that come and do the inspection before they can declare how is the
So
patient.
each time somebody passed on, you called EMS, and they are the ones who certified them to have died of natural causes?
They would do their own investigation. We would show the file in from the day's course, and they would go through the file. Then they check the patient throughout. Then they are able to give an
And that
declaration.
54, the remaining 48,
Yes.
where did you have to take them to?
We were still, they were distributed to hospitals with our carers because the professionals, they were not willing to assist.
You don't have to
in a way.
explain so much. You're too guarded, you're too careful. I just want the facts. I just want to
Yes.
understand. I'm not judging you, I just want to know what happened. The 48 who remained, what happened to them?
We had to house them in hospitals.
Why were they taken to the hospital?
It was due to because we didn't, our premises, the big premises that we have applied for, it wasn't yet.
Were they unwell?
in.
Did they need proper care? Why were they taken to hospitals?
It was when we made a cry out of the pressure and the lack of support that we experiencing, and the number of dates that we couldn't bear, ever since we've been running, we never had one death in our center. So when that kept on occurring, we kept on asking them to come and do a thorough assessment and give proper support, or else take in back within their patients.
Thank you, Justice. Ma'am, if I may refer you to file number 1. File number 1 on page 7. That should be the report by the Ombuds. Page 7.
Yeah.
Item number 1.1.
I've got it even here. That's fine, thank you.
The bullet point that starts with 75. Do you see that one?
Yes.
According to this report, 20 patients died at Precious Angels, not 10.
Yes.
Yes. So do you...
Okay. When I answered 10, it's when the judge asked, by then, how many has died? The question wasn't posed as, in total, how many from the NGO?
How many people died from the NGO?
20. 20. It's 23 because the others were in hospitals
So in total
when
it's
we
23.
also got the updates after being closed. I think the last it was 23 if I can go mix with it.
Just on the last sets of questions, you took 21 patients. You were experiencing a lot of problems, am I correct?
Yes.
From the department, you were not getting support. You were struggling financially, is that so?
Yes.
You were struggling to retain human resources, is that so?
Yes.
Why did you keep on adding more?
We were ensured that they will be moved to facilities that they will be catering. We had to render the services that we've been rendering for years. In the meantime, while they are still arranging from their own side.
Sorry, Counsel, but we, they, who? I want to know the face of the person.
Okay.
Who came to you and said, we ask you to take more people?
The department.
I want to deal with known faces within the department.
Our coordinators, the Mr. Tobani, Dr. Manamela, and Hannah, the team at large.
You'll have to mention Hannah by her first and last name, please.
Ms. Hannah Jacobus.
Miss Hannah Jacobus, yeah, right.
Yes, but most of urgent call.
These are the people who asked you to take on more people despite your dire circumstances?
Yes, on the second call of patient, that's when the payout was there. And then when they called in for the 10, which was female.
When was this payout, more or less when?
Sure.
3-4 months after June?
Sure, it was after, I think, because it was like 2 months, 3 months without being paid.
So the money did start flowing like 3 months later?
Yes, I see.
And how much money was it per month?
With 58 patients, it was around 100,000.
About 100,000?
Yes, because
a month?
Yes.
Counsel?
Thank you, Justice. Justice, if I may just clarify one thing. In respect of the 58, 59 patients that you had, now you indicated that the ones that came from Cullinan, from NCA, were females, is that so?
Yes.
Did you house them in the same house that you were housing the males that you got from Life Esidimeni?
No. For a couple of days, the department have had a pressure from the MEC stating that they cannot mix females and males, and with the same criteria.
So where did you house the females?
In Attridgeville.
Can you give us the address?
It's 10 Musalo.
How many females did you have?
The first,
In
it was,
total?
in total, it was 21, I think.
How far is this house from the center where you had males?
10, 15 minutes.
So now you were running basically almost 3 centers.
Yes. But then in abbreviation, the Children Stimulation Center is excluded from Life Esidimeni because it's not the state's patients.
But you were expected to be there at some point in time.
Yes. There is supervisors that's at the daycare.
Did you have staff at the place where you were housing females?
Yes, there was staff.
Can you tell us the staff that you had there?
It was
Nurses, social workers, doctors, that kind of information?
okay. When it was rashly asked to be prepared, same proceeding of support was expected, but we took the initiation to get stimulated carers and home-based carers, because most of our patients, they are on diapers.
These are the carers from the care center.
No, from the other organization that I have a relationship with, they train caregivers. It's home-based carers.
How many? What type of carers did you have?
Okay, they have home-based care experience.
How many?
Okay, in total of the house, we had like 2 or 3 in a day, and the night where they rotate with the day carers.
And were you attending meetings with the department during all this period?
We have been attending meetings, crying out every day, and
How often?
It wasn't too often because we would call
Weekly,
time
monthly?
in a month, probably twice. But I would make calls just to cry out on the needs that we were facing, and make alternative arrangement from my side as they were on our care.
So between running 3 centers and attending meetings, were you able to oversee what was happening with the patients? If they were receiving sufficient care, if they were having adequate food, if their bed linen was changed, and if they were sick, if they needed medical attention, that kind of stuff?
All right. In every house, we had a supervisor that would ensure that everything is in place. Before I would go to any other meeting, I myself would drive, ensure that everything is in place as well. But
And
it wasn't regular meetings.
those supervisors were not among those people who would resign after serving for a
No.
few days?
It was those that we maintained.
Well,
To keep.
well, again, let's try and cut to the chase. The Ombud,
Yes, Judge.
you know who that is, right?
Yes, Judge.
Yes. Professor Makhoba, in 4.1.8, no, 4.1.7, the end of it, says patients that died at Precious Angel, contributory factors to their deaths could be hunger and cold. He says the rooms were very cold and there was no food to feed them due to the delay that the department took 3 months to pay them. So they were struggling to buy food. Also Tsepong, the same with food, and Dr. Manamela was informed about this. Now, that's a conclusion that the Ombud makes. Says your patient died of hunger and cold.
Can I answer?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you say to that?
I totally object with evidence of monthly reports, of expenditure that we spent, and as well with family members who would be able to come in and testify at any given time where they came in. We would give them the opportunity to feed their loved ones. And then secondly, it's evidence
You know, the
of...
first line of your answer could be, Ms. Mumba, my patients did not die of hunger and cold.
Yes, my patients
Stop,
didn't...
and then I might ask you for an explanation after that, so that we can save time and get to it, okay?
All right, Judge.
The professor holds that, in his view, they died of hunger and cold. What do you say to that?
I totally object that it's not true.
You say they died of what?
I'm not on the medical side, but that's why we agreed on postmortems to be done to find out what was the cause. Because even myself need closure.
23 people under your care
Yes.
died over how many months?
Within a year, because it was different months.
No, from June
from June.
to around September, October, isn't it?
No, eventually we closed in January. That's when we all patients were taken away from us.
Let's say January. So in
Yes.
6 months, 23 people under your care died.
Yes, Judge.
And you say they died of natural causes?
In support of the doctor from Life Esidimeni also came in with the MEC wanting to find out what exactly is happening. And she also mentioned that they know their patients' conditions and how they were, and she did explain from prior and ensure that we have also did our level best with all the records that we also have in. It's the same doctor that I was with.
No. From your lay person's knowledge, but who's a caregiver in this field, who had become a caregiver, what do you say killed 23 people in 6 months?
I wouldn't know. I would also like to get closure on it so I can also have peace.
What do you think killed them?
It's records from previous, because we didn't have medical records from previous records at Life Esidimeni on how the dosage of epilems would be, if there was any changes, and with all the reports that we also did on our side, medically on the other side we were not given onto, but we proceed with what we could obtain.
I don't understand what you're saying. The question is, what do you think killed the 23 people under your care? Dr. Makoba has told us what he thinks. What do you think?
I still object to what he said, but I think it happened through all the frustration being moved from one pillar to post and everything that was happening to individuals. No matter how hard we have tried and strive to still obtain the abilities and the well-being of the patients, it was probably way too much for a person that has to cater their condition, their disability in total.
Counsel?
Thank you, Justice. Now, just a follow-up on the families. In respect of the patients who died at Precious Angels, did you personally contact the family members to inform them
With contacts, we struggled a whole lot from our coordinators. Eventually, they would give in. And yes, and whenever they would, okay, let me wait for your next question.
Did you have the necessary professional skills to offer counseling and support to the family members when they came to your call after you had informed them about the death of their family members?
Every time when a death occurred at our center, I would inform the department and arrange for the family to be called in and be, because
So
we were
you
still
relied on the
waiting.
department?
We were still waiting. Remember, I also made an affidavit from my own willing saying that we are in need of patients' family members. And then whenever they would come, even the same department, were not bold enough to inform the parents. I had to stand in the gap as well, explaining how I, firstly how their loved one ended up with me and what happened in the
Now,
interim
in
until the
respect
end.
of those who lost their loved ones, was there any counseling help that was offered to them at Precious Angels? Yes or no?
No, we were counseling ourselves in terms of remembering how we were engaging with the users, because they became family to us as we were taking care of them.
Do you know where the bodies of the patients who died at Precious Angels were taken to?
All of them.
Where? Where were they taken to? Which mortuaries?
Okay, the others' family came to bury them, and then the others were in hospitals.
So for those who came, where would you keep the deceased whilst waiting for the families to arrive?
Okay, it's a question that when the first patient passed on, we asked in the department, then how do we
No,
work
I'm
in cause?
asking you now.
Yes. It's a question that I've asked the department, how do we go through this, because you still haven't given us proper information and the family members, and still we didn't have any money to make necessary arrangement and resources. So now in our township, running an organization like that, there is a funeral parlor at our township, which I had to approach and tell them the experience of what's happening with the department and if they would be able to assist in.
So did you approach that parlor?
Yes.
So whilst waiting for them to fetch the body, where would the body be in relation to
In
other
the-
patients?
In the parlor.
At the NGO, at Precious Angels. Earlier on, you said that there were beds. There were many beds in each room.
Yes.
There would be patients, I presume.
We would move we would move the patient in. The patients, those who are mobile, would move them from the scene, so-called scene, so that they wouldn't be traumatized
Those
as
who are
well
not
on top.
mobile?
We use wheelchairs. Most of our patients, which were using wheelchairs.
I see. Now, you keep on referring to the department that you're not receiving support, you are not prepared
Yes.
to take care of those people. You are not prepared for what happened. You're not prepared to finance the NGO. You're not prepared when the patients began to die. You're not prepared for all of that. Is that so?
Yes.
When you think about this in retrospect now, do you think that you should have taken these patients?
In the first place, no, as my capacity is with children. And with all the support that I've been running for these years, it was the first and the last experience that I personally have to go through, because it's just a lot that's intake, and yet you were out there for your community and as well being affected, because
I would imagine you are also not aware of the requirements of the NGO in terms of the act, in terms of the regulation.
Okay, we are familiar with the documents of
You were familiar.
an NGO, yes. And if we, going back to your question, it's that for a home, it was a 3-4 year plan for us, and the services was for that period of time. But in terms of compliance, it's done monthly from our side.
You believe that you complied with the
Oh.
Act and the regulations?
I did my level best in terms of the compliancy with all the resources and the knowledge that we also obtain from our experience. But from the department side, it had really failed us, which puts us in at another end with the society.
The Ombud again indicated that most of the NGOs, including Precious Angels, the reason that patients died is because the staff, they were not properly equipped, they were not trained, they lacked experience. What is your comment?
Can I answer you in a different way? Our criteria plays a major role in the service that we render. And the relationship that we have with the other professionals, they joined in to help their best ability on a disability. Remember, there's other patients had multiple disabilities, and with lack of stimulation from prior when they were at Life Esidimeni, early intervention wouldn't have caused a whole lot of deaths.
I'm not
From my
really
experience.
understanding you, though. But maybe let's ask it this way. Would you say that the patients that you had, the 58, 59 patients that you had, you believe that they were taken well care of at Precious Angels?
We did our level best.
Do you believe that they were taken well care of?
Yes, I believe so, because even family members would, that's why I'd say even family members would come and testify honestly on that part, because I wouldn't, for me, it's like I am trying to make
So your answer is
things
yes.
better. Yes, with evidence of anybody that will be called in and proof of records.
Thank you, Justice. That would be evidence.
Yes, thank you. We're going to be asking Advocate Hassan to pose questions to you. Before she does, your certificate was initially signed by Dr. Manamela, the first certificate. But the one which had seemingly a wrong address on it, and the one that you operated on, also signed on the same day, presumably on its face, on the first day of April 2016, by Dr. T.E. Silibano.
Yes, Judge.
Why is it so?
With the signatures, they are the relevant people that they will be able to
You don't know
explain
why.
on.
That's the answer. You don't know why he signed it.
But we know that Dr. Manamela is the director, and with Dr. Silibano is the chief that was supposed to be initially signing on, because of the rush of everything. And with us, on our side, we would check with the criteria and everything that was communicated on if it's improper.
You even said a word about Dr. Silibano in your evidence. Did you ever meet him? Did he ever give you any instructions, encouragement? And did you ever complain to him? What do you know about him?
We never had any communication per se with him. We only knew him when they came with other premier officials to come and do investigations on our files, on our carers, everybody that was present at that time. And from there on, that's when I knew him. Then that's when we were made acknowledgement of all the superiors that are running under in running the project.
So you've never had any direct instructions
No.
from him or communication, or
Okay.
besides signing your license?
The communication, it was through, what's his name? The chief, not chief, the deputy chief, which is, what's his name?
Not Dr. Manamela?
Not
no.
Dr. Manamela.
Not Mr. Tobani?
No, not Mr. Tobani. Sure.
Very well. You don't have to remember that now. That's fine. Counsel?
Thank you, Justice Masaneke. Good afternoon, Ms. Nrume.
Afternoon, Counsel.
If I may begin with the licenses, I'm sorry, we're going to have to go back there. It's a separate question, and that was just put to you about the two different signatures on the same day. Could you please have regard to the record? There's those files next to you. Can you pull out file 7? Can you please turn to page 2397?
Okay.
Have you found it?
There, yes.
That license is for Precious Angels, and it says at the following address, Linwood Road, that looks like a typo, Tiger Valley, Pretoria. Do I understand that you have said that you have 2 Precious Angels facilities, or had, one in Danville and one in Attridgeville? Is that correct?
Yes, Counsel.
Can you explain this Linwood Road address?
Okay. The Lanewood Road one is the one that we were supposed to use for the children, of which it was something that we have been longing to get, to accommodate. So now when the officials
Did you
took
have
the
a
plan-
facility in Linwood Road?
No, we didn't.
Is this a Linwood Road in Pretoria East?
It is in Pretoria East. It's where we were supposed to get the bigger premises to render our services. It's when the department also did the inspection according to the criteria.
But you did not have any facility at Linwood Road?
We were intending to...
Did you have a facility at
No.
Linwood Road? So when the license was, in the process of licensing your facilities, did you point out that this is incorrect because, in fact, there's no facility at Linwood Road under your control?
Okay. It was approved after an inspection was done. The houses was temporary. It was only for three months where we would be able to move into Lanewood after every proceeding needed to be done and be approved on.
I'm not sure I understand. Are you saying that the Danville house and the Attridgeville house were temporary?
Yes, remember it was a rushed accommodation that was pressurized to open up to you to accommodate the adult, while the Lanewood one was to use for our long-term premises. So we had...
But the Linwood was to be used for the life Esidimeni patients. Is that what you're saying?
The department said we should change it to use it for the two houses when the patients have been moved to Lanewood.
The department said you should change what?
The premises was supposed to be used for the daycare project. That's separate.
Which
That's
Linwood
separate.
Road?
No.
Which premises then?
The Linwood Road, it was supposed to be used for our project for the daycare. Now, after the department finding out of that premises, they said, no, use it. We should use it to remove the patients from the two temporary houses to the Linwood Road. That's why they went for an inspection, and after approving it, then they...
What did they inspect? The Linwood Road premises?
Yes, and I'm also surprised why is the license, they differ, these licenses, because my license has the Kalafong address, of which it was the one that we registered on.
I
So
was
there's-
about to get to that, but
Okay.
in your license, when you say your license, are you referring to what is in front of you marked ELAH 26,
Yes, Council.
which is signed by Dr. Salabano,
Yes, Council.
which says the premises are in Kalafong Hospital?
Yes, Council.
So you have that, and there's another license which you seem to be aware of, the Linwood Road premises.
It's the first time seeing it today.
You've not seen this before?
Yes.
It's signed by Dr. Manamela, is that right?
Yes.
But you've never seen this before?
Remember, the only change, the only difference, it's the address. And the...
Now, the question is, you had never seen it before.
No, I have, but it differs with the address.
Have you seen, on page 2397, is a license in terms of the Mental Health Care Act that is signed by Dr. Manamela.
Yes.
Have you seen this before, this license?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Thank you. Can you explain to me why there are two different versions of the license?
They changed the address to the one that we were not yet using.
Okay, let me ask you this. You have no facilities at Linwood Road
No.
in Pretoria. You have never had any facilities there.
No.
Have you ever had any facilities at Kalafong Hospital in the premises?
We were renovating,
Did you have a
Yes.
facility there?
yes, in a way.
Were you operating a facility in Kalafong
No,
Hospital?
we were supposed to operate.
It was
there.
aspirational?
Yes.
But you did not have
No.
a facility there. So neither of these licenses refer to a license, neither of these licenses are actually licenses for the house in Danville or the house in Attridgeville.
Yes, because it
Okay.
was temporarily, we couldn't make
That's fine.
changes due to the one that we're supposed to officially use
May
in
I-
Lanewood.
Thanks. Can I please draw your attention to another part of the record? And that's at page 2494 in the same file that's before you.
Okay.
It's a Gauteng province, it's on the Gauteng province letterhead. And it's entitled Audit Checklist for Community Mental Health Care Centers that Accommodate Users with Severe and Profound Intellectual Disability and Psychiatric Disorders. Is that
I
what
have the
you have
document.
it? Your license, to the extent that it is a license for Precious Angels, refers to care for persons with severe or profound intellectual disability.
Yes.
Does it include psychiatric disorders?
It's the first time seeing a report that includes psychiatric disorders, because in all of our documents, it's severe, profound intellectuals.
Do you understand there to be a difference between profound intellectual disability and psychiatric disorders?
Yes, there is a huge difference.
And do you agree that you had patients from Life Esidimeni with psychiatric disorders?
It was, yes, I agree.
Were all of them, would you say all of them were patients with psychiatric disorders?
No, only a few. That's when we called it. It was the ones that were loaded in the bus, being refused to check if it was patients with our criteria from Life Esidimeni. It was this scenario that I mentioned earlier on. And then when I took it up still to the department, mentioning that we have a different criteria and it needs to be attended to, they've mentioned that they'll be making other provisions to accommodate those that needs to be sent out to relevant
Would you
NGOs.
agree that you had patients in your care from Life Esidimeni that had conditions such as dementia, Alzheimer's, epilepsy, cerebral palsy?
Some of them we were aware of them. Remember the other files they followed after, especially the ones from Kalinin, and the medical records we didn't have at all.
So there were some patients, some mental health care users in your care in respect of which you did not know their condition because you did not have their medical records.
We did not? Come again?
Okay, I'll break that down.
Okay.
There were some mental health care users from Life Esidimeni that were sent to your facility without medical records. Is that correct?
Yes. All of them, there was no medical report, just summary. It was probably 1 or 3 page in a file.
Were there some mental health care users in your care for whom you did not know what their medical condition was?
It was from the ones that came from Kalinin.
Is it yes or no?
Yes, sorry.
Thanks. Can you just, I know you did speak earlier to your qualifications. Can you just remind us what your qualifications are?
I'm an accounting person, and I'm in
You have a
ECD.
degree in accountancy.
I didn't finish it. And I have a ECD certificate.
What does ECG stand for?
Early Childhood Development Certificate Practitioner.
Have you ever cared for adults?
Adults in-house, yes. For children, 12 years. And, sorry?
So adults in-house. You have,
Yes.
you have had adults in your care.
Yes. Obviously, it's the family.
I'm not talking about your family. I'm
Okay.
talking about services that you provide as a community based.
No, I work basically on children.
Okay, so you hadn't cared for adults before,
Yes.
and you hadn't cared for adults with mental health conditions
No.
before. Okay. And did any of your staff were any of your staff trained to care for?
Home-based carers, all of them have been cared for, have been trained and got certificates to take care of
Mental health care.
with disabilities, different types of disabilities.
But you
as well.
earlier said that you appreciate there's a difference between disability and mental health conditions and psychiatric disorders.
Yes.
So were they trained to take care of patients with psychiatric disorders?
With psych, no,
Okay.
because okay, let me wait for your next question.
Thanks. How many employees in total did you, how many staff did you employ in total?
It was
For the two houses.
fluctuating. It was fluctuating, but probably 20
20
day
staff.
and night rotations. That's why I'm saying that it was fluctuating with the ones that were leaving, and but the ones that there was. Let me wait for the next question.
It's fine. It's fine. You referred earlier in your testimony to problems with payment.
Yes.
Did you employ the staff, or were they employed by the department?
I did.
Were they paid?
For 3 months, 2.5 months, no, they weren't.
And once they were paid, how much were they paid per month?
It's according to the criteria which the department stipulates, according to your qualification, where a caregiver would get...
What was the range?
The range for the carers is 1.7, and the
1,700 a month
1,700 a month
for the home-based carers.
for the caregivers. There's home-based care, there's caregivers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the home-based carers?
Home-based carers, they still fall under the same criteria, but if a person it's a student nurse, they'll be ranged into 3.5 according to the template as well.
Thanks. So page 2494. This is an audit of Precious Angels that was conducted on 28 July 2016. Do you agree?
I see the document.
Can you turn over the page to 2495? The first section of this report is it's numbered 1, physical resources.
Okay.
I'm not going to take you to all of it, but I'm going to take
No
you to
problem.
some of this. In the second bullet point, it says the number of rooms available is not enough for the patients. As a result, some beds are too close to each other. In House 1, the beds in the western wing were placed in such a way that the door could not be closed and the area is windy. The passage does not have a ceiling fitted yet. Because of limited space, some patients are confined to beds, whereas they could benefit from interacting with other patients in the garden or communal area. Can you respond to that, please?
I object to the spacing, referring still as evidence, family members, carers, pictures. We also have an...
So you're saying this is not correct?
Yes, partially. But
What
in
is
terms-
correct from here?
The only thing... It's the ceiling. It wasn't even leaking, but it needed just to be closed up, but it wasn't leaking or in any... That
Okay.
is the only thing. For the rest of the things, evidence will be provided that everything has been said here. It's not true.
Okay. In the next bullet point, it says that the staff at the facility are all utilized for all functions at the center, which includes security, cleaning, cooking, laundry, and patient care. The professional nurse is said to come on certain days and for emergencies if available. Can you respond to that, please?
Okay. We had a cooker that deals with cooking throughout. We had a cleaner that deals with cleaning throughout. We had a security that deals with security throughout. We had caregivers whom were taking care of patient throughout. The nurse would come in just to do the vitals for the patients and check if all the recordings that we have been doing, it's still intact.
The recordings of their vitals.
The recording of medication being given, your bathings, your eating, every aspect that occurs for a day.
And how often did the professional nurse visit the patients?
Twice, thrice in a month. Remember, it's not been paid. It's the department have mentioned they would give in their professional nurses because we didn't still have We were not funded still by then. I made the initiation to ask for a professional nurse at her time when they knock off at work to come and help us with vitals.
What's the
and
name
so
of the
forth.
professional nurse that did come 2-3 times a month?
Rebecca.
Excuse me?
Rebecca.
Rebecca, and her surname?
I'll just give you all the details and the rank number of her throughout.
I just need her surname.
Okay, Motlanka, if I'm not mistaken, pardon if I'm mistaken. That's why I said we'll give in all evidence that is needed,
Okay,
together
thanks.
with evidence of pictures.
And you're saying this is incorrect?
Yes.
You deny the truth of this statement?
Evidence will follow, yes.
You say that you had a security guard, a cleaner, a cook, a person to do with the laundry, and
Yes.
you had caregivers.
Separately, yes.
And did you meet the the officials from the MHD and West Copies hospital officials who came to inspect your premises?
Yes, only on the day after the cry out, that's when they started to be moving patients, because we also mentioned...
No. The simple question is, were there people who came to do an audit on your premises?
No.
Nobody came from the MDH, from West Copies? At least 2 people from the report appears who came to inspect your premises from West Copies. Did that happen or not?
It happened at the later stage, after we made our own initiation of getting officials.
On the 28th, sorry.
Yes, please, Councillor. No, you go ahead. Look at that, 28 July. That's the date.
On 28 July 2016, did you receive a visit from health department, provincial department officials to inspect your facilities?
I wouldn't know all dates off by heart, but with visitors book would refer and would confirm, but I would answer to your question.
You didn't answer. I mean, you know, if you were to look through, as we proceed through this record, there's a checklist and a report, and it's compiled by officials from the department. You say you're not aware of this report at all. You were never interviewed for this. You were never, and nobody from your facility either.
From the department, they were regular visitors whenever we crowd a lot. And the premises, it has been inspected before receiving patients and during the patients were received.
Okay, so it had been inspected.
Yes.
And all 3 of your facilities were inspected?
For Precious Angels, it's 2, Council.
So, in respect of, you said that you had a cook and a cleaner and security guard, and you had many staff. Did you have that staff complement at both houses? Were those services being provided at both houses?
Yes, we had but in Mosalo, it was secured within. We didn't have a security guard because it was butlered throughout. And
because it was
butlered throughout.
Can you explain that, please? It was.
We didn't have a security guard
Okay.
at
Which house?
Attridgeville.
In Attridgeville.
Yes.
Did you have a cook in
Yes.
Attridgeville? Did you have a cook in Danville?
Yes.
Did you have a cleaner in Attridgeville? A cleaner.
A cleaner. We had a cleaner.
In Attridgeville and in Danville?
In Danville, we also had a cleaner. But when we are short of staff during there was a time where we were short of of staff, so we had to do the cooking at another different facility and bring in the food at the relevant times according to our menu and program. But patient care was there. We had to.
But you're
we had
saying
to
you had a
sacrifice.
cook at both houses? At each house had a cook?
Yes.
If we can just continue down the report. In the next bullet point, it says, there's no universal access to the facility, by which they explain, it will not easily permit a physically disabled person to move around, as there are no ramps. House 1 is double-storied and has a number of stairs. Is that correct?
Yes, Council.
Were there ramps?
No, Council.
Do you disagree with any part of the statement I've just read to you?
No, but provision was made
Was made for?
for those who uses wheelchairs. They will be on a lower ground where they don't have to use stairs at all, and there will be a dining area where they will be able to eat in, and a shower that will be for bathing for those who need bed bath. They would also be accommodated on it. So it was a separate entity according to a disability.
So you do disagree with the statement that
Partially, yes.
that physically disabled person would not be able to move around? Okay. Let me read the statement to you again. It will not easily permit a physically disabled person to move around as there are no ramps. Do you agree with that?
Yes,
Thanks.
Council.
The next bullet point says there are not enough chairs and tables in the facility to cater for all the patients. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree. Because from the first group that I took from Life, we got from Life Esidimeni, I've asked for their aids that they were using, starting from a chair to a buggy, because they know the condition and how we're supposed to keep position of different kind of disability to avoid.
Who did you ask for that?
The manager. They were
Manager
refusing of Life Esidimeni. They did give in. There's pictures, there's every evidence that you would need in.
They provided you
Yes.
with chairs and tables?
Yes, not tables, chairs, wheelchairs and buggies, because I did say that I'm not taking without an aid.
It says in the next bullet point, the center has electricity, but only cold running water. Is that correct?
It's incorrect very well.
Both houses.
Both houses had hot and cold water.
The next bullet point says there's obsolete furniture and other equipment lying around at the back of houses. And it goes on to say it creates an untidy appearance and could be a good breeding place for pests. Is that correct?
It is correct because we had to do adjustments, and during that time we didn't have resources to remove the ones that were extras, that we had to make provisions for those who use buggies and so forth. They were going to be taken out as soon as we got paid to be removed. But the in-house, even family members would state how it was. For those who had visitations, both houses in Galafong and in Attridgeville. Evidence will be given as well from our side, and you would also get family members who had visited the Attridgeville home and the Denville home. They would give their own evidence because they would also feed their loved ones. They would also see where we have our programs still in the very house. Every room, they would testify and know which bed their loved ones used to sleep in. There isn't any door that they do not know, family members.
I'm asking you this because different versions will be, a different version is being put to you now and will be led by the families that will be testifying. So I just want you to be aware that there will be
I'm very much
a
aware.
different
Thank you, Council.
Thanks. I'm not going to go in detail. I just want to, can we move on to the next page, 2497. Number 6, medication. It says patients have not been receiving any medication after admission, after the TTO. Do you understand what TTO means?
No.
Neither do I. But it says
I
that.
know TTO is something that you take along.
Oh,
It's a takeout.
is that what it is? A
from-
takeaway?
From a medical facility, yeah.
Well, what they mean to say is clearly that they haven't been receiving any medication after the medication that was provided when the patients left. After that ran out, they had not been provided with
But
medication.
that's colloquial language from Atteridgeville, so you have to
Jeez,
double
Judge.
check and make sure, counsel.
With that, we made provision from the department with all the script, only those who were on medication with the files that we had, and we would send it out to, what's his name? Mr. Mohale, with urgent requests, because there was a time there
Were
was.
you able to provide medication to the patients once it ran out? Did you have access to more medication?
Yes, I would go to our clinics, like I did mention earlier on.
So there
that
was no treatment interruption for any of the patients? Is that what you're saying?
treatment was only done for that assessment that I had to call out on my own while waiting for the department to bring their professionals to come and do their side.
I'm asking you a different question, which is, was there any treatment interruption? Meaning,
Or like a gap
Yes,
of
medication.
medication. If the records would be read, and remember when we give out medication, you would sign in how the patient took the medication, if it did go in, and after, even with your lunches and break, all the reports will stipulate if there was a gap in between.
but you don't know.
I do know because we would rush to the department prior, and they would escalate it from the district officers for us to receive it. But I remember there was a time where an asthma vent had finished, and I had to go to a private clinic to get it on credit.
You're saying that there was, because of the efforts that you made, there was no interruption in the provision of medication.
We tried
the-
our level best for
It's either yes or no.
those. Yes.
There was no interruption in the medication. Okay.
Counsel, after that question, I would like to adjourn for lunch.
That's perfectly fine. That's Ms. Markey.
Well, Ms. Nuba, there's some good things said in the report about your staff. Look at page 2497. Point 9, can you see that?
Yes, Judge.
Under positive and caring attitude.
Yes, Judge.
The staff displayed a warm attitude and interacted with the support team. Can you see that? If that can put a little smile on your face. The report says so. We're going to adjourn, and we want to start at 2:30. So we're going to take the lunch adjournment now. We are adjourned.
Deceased So